Hey guys, welcome back. Today we will continue talking about laws of exponents. If you have not seen part one, these are the laws that I did go over in part one. This video is part two of two. So let's go ahead and get started. So in part one, I did laws 1 through 6. So we're going to pick up from where we left off. So we're going to start with 7. So this is going to be A over B raised to the n power. So if you have a quotient raised to a power, the result is going to equal the numerator is going to be raised to that power divided by the denominator raised to that power. So this is going to equal a to the n divided by b to the n. And let's look at some examples. So if we had 3 over 5 to the 9th power, this is going to be 3 to the 9th divided by 5 to the 9th. What about x divided by 3 raised to the 4th power? This is going to equal x to the 4th divided by 3 to the 4th. What about 3x over 2y to the 5th power? So this is going to equal 3 to the 5th times x to the 5th over 2 to the 5th times y to the 5th. 5 over 7 raised to the power of 3. This is going to be 5 cubed over 7 cubed. Right? What about this example here? We're going to do the same thing. W to the 6th power over z to the 6th. What about 3u over 5v? And that is raised to the 4th power. So we're going to get 3 to the 4th times u to the 4th divided by 5 to the 4th times v to the 4th. And if you want to simplify this further, you're going to get 81 u to the 4th over 625 v to the 4th. So the next law is if you have a base raised to the 0 power, that is going to equal 1. So for an example, 2 to the 0 power is going to equal 1. Negative 3 to the 0 power is going to equal 1. What if you had pi to the 0 power? That's also going to equal 1. And what if you had negative 3 without the parentheses raised to the 0 power? This is going to equal negative 1 because the 3, it's what's being raised to the 0 power and not the negative. Another way to see this is if you break this down, you do have this imaginary 1 floating around in front of this negative 3. If you took that negative 1 out and you multiplied negative 1 times 3 to the 0 power, 3 to the 0 power is 1. And then if you multiply the 1 times this imaginary negative 1 here, you're going to get negative 1. And then what if you had x raised to the 0 power? That is also going to give you 1. 5 to the 0 power, the difference between negative 5 to the 0 power, and then the difference between negative 5 with no parentheses to the 0 power. So we just said anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So 5 to the 0 power is going to be 1. If I have parentheses, negative 5 is raised to the 0 power. This is going to give you a positive 1. And for this example here, just the 5 is raised to the 0 power, not including the negative. So this is going to be a negative 1. So let's look at some more example. Let's say we had 3 to the 4th power raised to the power of 0. Your answer is going to be 1. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So let's say you actually did solve this. So let's say you did 3 to the 4th times 0. And you multiplied 4 times 0, you're going to get 0. So you're still going to get 3 to the 0 power, and you're still going to get 1. This here, let's say we had negative 4 y to the 0 power, and then let's try on this side we're going to have negative 4 without the parentheses raised to the 0 power. Your answer here is going to be 1. But let's say we didn't know that. Let's say we actually did try solving this. Let's see what we're going to get. Negative 4 to the 0 power times y to the 0 power. Negative 4 to the 0 power is going to give me 1 times y to the 0 power is still going to give me 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. Let's come on this side. Notice I do not have parentheses. The only thing that's raised to the 0 power is the y. So this is going to be negative 4 times y to the 0 power. And y to the 0 power is 1, and your answer is going to be -4 because you have -4 times 1. 2 times x to the third times y to the 0 power, all raised to the power of 5. First, we're going to get 2 to the 5th times x 3 times 5 times y 0 times 5. So 2 to the 5th power is going to give us 32 times x 3 times 5 is 15 times y 0 times 5 is going to give me 0. So you're going to get 32 times x to the 15th power times y to the 0. This is going to give me 1. So you have 32 times 1 is 32 times x to the 15th, and your final answer is 32x to the 15th power. And the last law that we will look at in this video is if you have a negative exponent. And for this law in particular, our negative exponent is in the numerator. And if it's in the numerator, then you need to bring it down to your denominator so that it can be positive. And I will do a separate video focusing only on negative exponents. So if you have 4 to the 2nd over 4 to the 5th, notice my base is the same. So this is going to equal 4 to minus 5, and you're going to get 4 to the -3rd power. And because I do have a negative exponent, I'm going to bring this down to my denominator, so that's positive. This will now become 1 over 4 cubed. You can take the shortcut way. Because my bases are the same, I can just bring down my 2 down to my denominator. So this will turn into 1 over 4 to the 5th minus 2, which is going to equal 1 over 4 cubed. So you do get the same answer. What if we had 8 to the -1 power? I have a negative exponent. To make this positive, I'm going to get 1 over 8. What about 2 to the -3rd? To make this positive, I'm going to get 1 over 2 to the 3rd, which is going to equal 1 over 8. What about -4 to the -2nd power? This is going to equal 1 over -4 to the 2nd power, which is going to equal 1 over 16. But what if you had -4 to the -2nd power with no parentheses? Notice that my 4 is the only thing being raised to the -2nd power. So this is going to become negative. This negative did not disappear. It's not included. It's going to be 1 over 4 to the 2nd power, which is going to equal -1 over 16. So let's look at this example here. Similar to the problem we just did, the only thing that's being raised to the -5 power is the x. This is going to be -3x to the 5th. The common mistake is to write 1 over 3x to the 5th, and that is not the correct answer. So this concludes part 2 of 2. So that is it for today, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.